Welcome to factory, not factory approved. That's it. We're not factory approved. The brake job continues on this F150 86, and so front disc, rear drum. So I pried loose the brake caliper using these tabs of brake pad, and so it's loose. So the caliper is not seized, so that's very good news. But listen to this bearing. You hear a little bit of rubbing against the disc, but the growly is what I don't like. Rotates well, but that is definitely going to have to get repacked and probably new bearings. Oh yeah, it's not the brake pad, it's this dented backing plate it's rubbing. But the growly is the bearings. So another job I didn't expect to have to do. The brake job continues. I'm onto the fronts. This is all rusty, and it's still a bit rusty. What I did was just washed it with solvent and took this old worn out bodywork 50 or 80 grit. 80 grit. Worn out. That's why I hang on to stuff like that. And I got this wet with solvent and just kept rubbing the rust off of it. And that's good enough. I'm putting the old pads back in because, like I said before, I've blown the budget. So there's a limit to how much you can put into something. So I'll put the old pads back in, and then if the brakes are good, then I will replace them. If I'm going to be faced with something major wrong with the truck, then I may just be selling it as is. So for as far as I'm going to drive it, that's going to be fine. So I've taken out the old bearings, which are complete garbage. Now I'll put the new cones back in, and I'll show you how to pack wheel bearings when you don't have a packing tool. I've never bought one, never really wanted one. I find this works just as well. So now I'll start putting the bearing in. That's the new one. Take a fairly thick punch, but one that's square. It's got good edges to it, and you just start tapping it in. And never do more than a few taps at a time. And lubricate the bore as well. And make sure you don't slip. That's the major problem. Further in it gets, a little harder you can hit it. Until you get it down into there, where it's even, then you have to start being careful again. And on it goes till you get it down there. You have to get past that shoulder, and then you can start being a little less careful, but never give up being careful. Do as I say, not as I do. Hold it firmly against the lip. Starting now to get down into the recesses. possible to press it in too, but I don't have a piece of steel that fits perfectly. You can hear it ringing. That means it's bottomed out. Looks good. And I will do the other side. You don't need to watch that, I'm sure. Now I'm going to pack the bearings. Got the one for the back side there. So you need a clean cloth. And this one, let's say it's clean. And the outer bearing as well. This one. These gloves are too dirty. Cannot use them. Those are either clean bare hands or clean gloves. So for now I'm going to do it with clean gloves. Except I can't get them on now, my hands are sweaty. Stay tuned. So I'm going to start on the back side, the inner bearing. And then I'm going to put the seal on, because the seal will hold the bearing, and then I can flip it over and do the outer. So what you do is you take your fresh wheel bearing grease, put a daub on your palm, like that. Then you take and you smear this edge into the grease. And you keep going around until it starts squeezing out the other side. And you have to squeeze it out or it's not filling the bearing, and if it's not full when you put it in, it's not going to get full later. Take some more. You'll start to see it coming out the top side when it's full. That's the idea. Just keep on going and doing that. Eventually the bearing is full. But I'll show you what it looks like when it actually starts squeezing out. Usually it doesn't take this long. You can see now it's just starting to come through the top side. And need that all the way around. There, it's squeezing through. That one's squeezing through. That one's squeezing through. That one's squeezing through. There. Sorry, I keep drooping. That should do it. So I've got all that grease. And then you put some in here. Good smearing. Now I'll do the other one because I'm going to have to clean up my hands. So that's the idea. Put the camera at rest. Now here's the hub back on. And put the caliper on, obviously. Remember what it sounded like before. That is so much better. So now, check for play. What you do is snug this up, and then you can go backwards till you find some play. There's play, and kind of go halfway. Some people find the play and then turn it 1/8 of a turn. Okay, I will check that again when the tire is on it, but for now I can put the cap on it, lock it up. So I was going to fully bleed the brakes, and I turned it upside down, and this is what came out. Looks like motor oil. It ain't motor oil. So some serious flushing has got to take. And hopefully the seals inside the disc caliper are still good. Getting ready to put the second caliper back on the front disc rear drum setup on this Ford. Let's get this straw and stuff out of here yet. But I've wire brushed these slides both on the truck and here on the caliper to make sure there's no big lumps of rust there. I will clean out the bleed valve and I'll replace this copper washer. They're included in the kit. And these pads need to be replaced. And you can see the disc has been binding previously because it was rusty. This end of the pad is thicker than that end, so it was not sliding straight. I'll show you the pins that lock this one. I haven't seen this style of pin before. You can see the brake fluid is less than desirable. So I've squeezed the piston back just to make sure it's free. You see there, dirty stuff. But I'm not replacing the pads yet because I want to make sure that the truck actually runs okay before I sink any more money into it. It's about 50 to 100 bucks for pads for this truck. So like I've whined before, I've blown the budget, so let's make sure things work before this becomes a parts truck. Now here are the pins that hold it. They have a semi-triangular shape. There are two pieces attached to a piece of rubber. The grooves fit together. And then this goes on, and these slide in here. As soon as I find the way they fit, like that. And then the mounting bracket for the calipers are around here. So once this is in, nothing can come out. And it has these tabs that prevent it from moving in or out. So that's where I'm at now. Next steps. It's back together now. Slides are in, lubricated. I did put the spring back on the side. There's only one spring on these pads. There's supposed to be 4, like 2 each side, to stop the inner pad from chattering. They have a built-in anti-squeal plate on them, riveted to them, but there's also an anti-chatter spring, and there's only one out of 4. So I've attached the brake line, as you can see, brake hose, and you can see it's twisted. So I have to undo this clip and pull it through, and then I can rotate it until it gets all this strain off of it. Just happened to put it in the wrong spot when it was hanging there. So there it is, all attached. The tension is taken out of it. I've tried it full lock each direction, and it does not touch the spring. What I did find was I had to rotate it just one flat further because it was getting really close to this coil, but it wasn't actually touching it, but it was close at full lock. And now it's good. So if you do that, all you have to do is take out this clip, push it in, turn it, bring it back out. One brand new master cylinder. You're supposed to self-bleed or bleed these on the bench before putting them in. I can't find my tubes that go around, dump in, and it's been 3 moves since I last used it, so they're probably goners. So what I'm going to do is put it in, and I'll use my suction method to bleed the brakes so I don't actually have to move the master cylinder at all. And I'll show you how that works. Master cylinder in place, all fittings connected. This top one here with my very poorly wound spring arrangement is for the trailer brake controller, and so that's in place. 3/8 fitting, that's 5/8, and it's bottomed out, it's not loose at all. Same in the front, 7/16. Previously this line came just down here and made a big loop back. so I made it a little better anyway. I've spritzed up the booster a bit just because it was rusty, and I took the loose rust off the nuts. I mean, if it's loose, it doesn't belong here. Not the kind of shop I'm running. Gotta have good morals, you know. So, poor jokes aside, that's in place. I just got to fill it up with the right brake fluid, and then I'll apply the vacuum bottle to the furthest point away from the master cylinder, which is the right rear, then left rear, then right front, left front, and then I'll do the brake controller. So that's got to be bled as well. So here goes. Pseudo sandblasted brake drum, which moves a little tight, but work on that. It does work. So now the brake bleeder is just basically a fairly large flexible bottle. Squeeze the air out of it, put it on the valve, the bleed screw at the back, and timing is everything. So initially though, I'm going to open it up a bit. There, that's lots. Squeeze the air out and attach this. There we go. Now it has to be upward, all right, like that to work better. And the lines are completely empty. So I'll let suck through. Oh, gotta open the screw some more. And it does not seem to be moving nothing. Let's check that out. Hopefully you can see that. It is bubbling here. It's slowly sucking the air out. You can see the bottle is still collapsed. Sometimes you just have to leave it for a while to sit too, because it takes time for the fluid to get here, especially in the case where the lines are completely empty as these are, as I blew them all out. So it's still bubbling. Go a bit longer. So this self-bleeding system of mine worked great on the 47 Cadillac, where it's one single master cylinder and 4 drum brakes. On the discs I'm having more trouble, so I've had to upgrade. So what I've done is I've taken the bottle, I added another line which runs to a siphon gun, a wash gun actually. So that puts suction on the bottle, like that. And then I go push on the pedal while it's still under suction. And that helps me to bleed the brakes. I know it doesn't help you if you're off in the bush, but if you're in a shop, it's another way of doing it. Or I wait for my wife to get home. The mechanical assistant with a band on her finger. Here goes again. It's just starting to pull air out, so I'll pump the pedal again. Keep an eye out. Yeah, not coming through very fast, is it? I hate to admit it, but I did use the banded wife to help me bleed the brakes. I found my method worked with the wand. It was just slow. It was definitely sucking the air out. It bled most of it, but it was quicker and more effective just to get her to push on the pedal. So that method with the suction works great on old systems which are 4 drum brakes, but systems that have an equalizer and a dual master cylinder and discs doesn't work as well. So if you're stuck, it'll get you through and you can bleed the brakes, but if you've got an assistant, that definitely is the faster way to go. Up to you, but can get you out of a pinch, so hopefully that helps in that regard. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or even notify, or any of the above, or all of the above. Thank you.